Hello, it's Employee a Million, and welcome to the 4th annual Q&A for this channel. As you can see, I've got my Quack Pack drip on, just for the occasion, and last month I made a community post just announcing what I'm doing this year, and asking for questions for this year's Q&A. So, if you want to know more about my channel and what I'm uploading next, please check out the community tab. I know YouTube makes it pretty hard sometimes, but it's worth it, trust me. So, first question for the Q&A is from Rebel Friend. Have you ever considered going back to shows you reviewed before and made ranked lists of your favorite and least favorite episodes and making videos of those lists? Well, in general, I've thought of going back to my older videos and touching them up and, cutting out things I said, but I mean, what's the point of that if the original videos are still going to be up, and even if I take them down, they will be out there somewhere. I hope so. One of my deepest, darkest fears is everything on my YouTube channel being deleted, but besides that, I have thought of that. I've thought of making a revised top 10 Powerpuff Girls list. I've thought of making a revised top 10 Jimmy Neutron list. Top 10 lists and lists in general make a bank on YouTube. They get very popular, they get clicks, they get more people watching, but I'm not entirely about getting a big subscriber number. I'm just about making content that people would want to see. And even though that is content a lot of people would want to see, it isn't necessarily content that I want to make when I've got such a big year ahead of me. But I have thought about it. I have thought of going back to shows that I've covered, because a big reason the Showdown was around for so long, even though viewership dwindled, is that I really wanted to talk about Rocco again. I really wanted to talk about the Powerpuff Girls again in some way. And the Showdown seemed like an easy way to do that, but people just aren't very interested in that sort of format, at least from me. I don't know about other creators. But yeah, I have thought about it, but I don't know if it's gonna come around in a while, sorry. Brendan Barney asks, out of all the TV shows and movies you've covered, which was the hardest to binge for a review? One word, Pokemon. Don't watch it the way I do, in that you watch 2 seasons 1 year and then another 2 seasons another year. That is not how it's supposed to be watched. You're supposed to watch it a bunch of times every day if you want to even get a hint of progress in the show and in your watching of it. Or you had to be there from the beginning if you were alive in the 90s and just watch everything, retain all the information. I mean, Bulbapedia be damned. I'm starting up watching Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and it has been a really fun arc. Much more fun than I thought it would be, but it is just a really tedious show when you're thinking about completing it. But don't think about completing it while you're watching it. Just think of watching the characters, seeing the Pokemon, watching them battle and be cute, and have fun while you watch it instead of just seeing it as a checklist. Mr. Dark Bunny asks, question for the Q&A. What are some of your favorite preschool shows growing up, and will you ever review them? Mine would be Arthur, Sesame Street, Thomas and Friends, and VeggieTales. So if that's the ballpark we're talking about, I'd say my favorite was Blue's Clues, but only because I watched it when I was 4. But it is very nice and homely. I've rewatched a few episodes from the original series. It is, charming and nice. It's very chill. I think if you have to know about where coconuts come from, that's your best bet in terms of teaching a kid. But that's the thing. I don't really watch preschool shows. I'm not on some pedestal talking about my shows made for 8-year-olds 20 years ago. I just mean that I really don't get the same sort of knowledge from them as I would, say, something made for big kids on Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or Cartoon Network. Not saying that it's bad to watch them as you get older and just sort of soak in this chill atmosphere, find the songs a bit catchy, like the characters. That isn't a problem at all. Rather, that isn't really the target audience that I gravitate towards in terms of what I'm watching. Jack McGinn, good old Jack McGinn, asks, what are your top 5 favorite cartoons of all time? Well, SpongeBob and Phineas and Ferb would have to be there. So would The Simpsons and Futurama, but that fifth one is a bit tough because there are a lot of shows that I really, really love that could fit into that slot, but aren't quite as iconic or aren't quite as consistently classic, or I just don't think they're on the same level as those four shows. But so far, I'm thinking Rocko's Modern Life, just to get that, just to get it out pretty quickly. But thank you for that question. It's always a pretty tough one because I have four at the top of my mind, but that fifth one, sometimes I think Rocko, but other times I think something else like Avatar or Samurai Jack. But I don't know, Rocko just appeals to me more personally. Pizza Rolly asks, what's your hopes for the Super Mario Brothers movie? Here's the thing. I've wanted a Super Mario Brothers movie since before I could walk. Since I was playing Mario Kart 64 at my uncle's house, I've really wanted to see like a CGI movie about these characters. It has always been something that I think this world was made for. And just years went by and the most we got was that old anime from Japan, that old three-parter from Japan, the old D cartoons, the Mario live-action movie with Bob Hoskins. All of them were, like, interesting in various ways, but they weren't what I wanted. And as the Mario world got more fleshed out and interesting, and the world just slowly got bigger, it just seemed like a no-brainer. Just make a Mario movie. But then Shigeru Miyamoto said, yes, we're going to make one, and it's going to be with Illumination. Okay, Illumination isn't the worst you could do. I mean, it's not the best. I was thinking, like, maybe DreamWorks, but Illumination, well, you can make the Toads minions all you want, just make the script smart. And as we got the cast and as we got the movie trailers, I just thought, oh my gosh, this looks stunning. It is going to be just a dream come true for a lifelong Mario fan. It is going to be incredible. They didn't need Chris Pratt to play Mario. They could have gotten anyone else, not Chris Pratt. Like, I don't care about, like, the personal life details, like what religion he subscribes to. I really could not care about that when it comes to a celebrity, because newsflash, most of them are pretty messed up here. But he just doesn't fit Mario at all. Like, you think Mario, you think either, like, the sort of gruff but friendly voice, or Charles Martinet's performance that has been his voice since the Super Nintendo era, actually. Just the sort of upbeat, optimistic, very Italian, but very, like, welcoming voice. And Chris Pratt, I don't get a good read of any of that in his voice. And I feel like that's gonna really hurt the movie for me, but everything else about it looks incredible. Like, my dreams are coming true, but it's just got that one annoying flaw, that one annoying snafu that's really going to, like, make it a bit harder for other people to watch. But I'm just optimistic that it is going to be a very fun movie. It's going to be a very pretty movie, a creative one. Like, as more trailers come out, it does look like they're hitting more of the blocks, for a lack of a better term, of everything we've known about this world for the past 40 years. And it looks like it's going to be fun, if not an amazing movie. And at this point, that's what I'm asking for. Overlord Velvet asks, Employee Million, do you intend to make more retrospective videos of cartoons you don't like your classic Foster's video? I hope, because I honestly love every high worst episodes list, at least 10. Well, Velvet, you got your wish. Quack Pack was nothing but a worst list. I hope that classic Foster's video wasn't sarcasm, because when I cover a lot of episodes of a show that I don't like, I do really fear that I'm gonna, like, get in trouble with that show's fan base, and that's never my intention. I want people to like every show that I watch to some degree. I want these fans to not think that I'm some demon coming to destroy their fond memories of this show, because that isn't my intention at all. Like, you can like Foster's, you can like Quack Pack for all I care. But I do want to point out when I don't think that the writing or the animation is up to snuff, or the character writing. And I'm just happy that some people really like it when I list a bunch of bad episodes in a row, even though, like, angry reviewing is dead, and I do want it to be a mostly constructive criticism on my channel, good faith criticism, as some people call it. But, yeah, you got Quack Pack, don't worry. Tor Productions asks, have you seen King of the Hill, and what are your thoughts on it? Honestly, I haven't seen that many episodes, but what I have seen has been very fun. I've seen the first 3 episodes of season 1, and I have seen the classic one where Bobby gets, like, some feminist, like, sexual harassment training to just kick people in the junk. And, I mean, it's raunchy, it's a bit over the top, but it is just an amazing look at his character and just how dense and how much he lacks self-awareness. Bobby might be my favorite character, but I haven't seen enough of King of the Hill. It's a show that I've always wanted to pay more attention to, but it does seem like my favorite of the Mike Judge shows because I've never been a big Beavis and Butthead guy. I've seen the appeal of Daria, but I just couldn't really get into it myself. But King of the Hill does seem like the one that he casts to the widest possible net, and I know it's very iconic, but I just haven't really sat down and watched it. I might do that tonight. Vox Productions asks, have you ever thought about doing Reanimated collabs and game reviews? Reanimated collabs, I'm not the best animator in the world, and I don't really have the audience, like the big name to say, oh, we're going to do Phineas and Ferb Reanimated. Get all my animators together that I don't have, because I don't have that many friends on the internet. And in terms of game reviews, I know I've got my classic gaming setup here, but I think that in terms of game reviews, not only am I not the best at capturing footage, but in terms of, like, game reviews, I feel like there are a bunch of other people on the internet that can do what I do better when it comes to game reviews. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years, so I've lost my chance to get a lot of practice in that field. But I do cover some game-related shows like Sonic Boom and Pokemon, and I do offer my feelings on games there, and I use a lot of background music from video games in my reviews. So that kind of gives the impression that I'm some hardcore gamer with opinions on every game in the world, when that's not really the case. I like platformers. I especially like big cartoony platformers from the 90s and 2000s. But I don't really have a wide enough frame of reference. Like, I haven't played that many shooters in my day. I haven't played many sports games. Like, you need to have a very wide palette, and I don't have a wide enough palette for video games. Like, I know some of you out there would probably die to hear me talk about Sonic games, especially like the classic games and adventure games, and even a lot of Mario games and how they evolved over time. And I have a lot to say about them, but a lot of other YouTubers have done what I've done better, and I'll just list some of them up here. Gear360 asks, what's your favorite animated movies of the recent times? I went to see 3 animated movies this year. I'm not the crowned authority on animated movies as much as I am animated shows from 20 years ago, but I watched 3 movies this year. Turning Red, which I loved. It was very fun, and it kind of inspired me to do the American Dragon video because of just how much similarities they share, and I think that Turning Red is overall the better product. It's much funnier, it's much more heartwarming, it's more engaging than I thought it would be. Like, I was never a 13-year-old girl from Canada. You know, it's relatable enough on a certain level to enjoy it. Second one I watched this year was Lightyear, which, visual marvel. It was definitely a very weird idea, like reimagining Buzz Lightyear as this old sci-fi movie and giving him a bunch of new characters to interact with. And it wasn't Star Command, but I was really seeing the potential there until the really stupid plot twist, which just shattered everything. Like, it's not the best written movie. It hammers its points in very, very, like, with no subtlety. And that is definitely a barrier in me rewatching the movie anytime soon. But yeah, it came and went. I can see why some people will hate it. I just think it's sort of eh. Last movie I watched last year was Puss in Boots: The Last Witch, which was just amazing. It was such a good way to like surprise us at the end of the year with, oh, the Shrek franchise is finally back and Puss in Boots is like more interesting than ever. You've got a reason for him to fear things. He's got a reason to not want to adventure. He's got a deeper relationship with that love interest he had in the last movie like 11 years ago. I did the Shrek review before I watched it, so I'm very like embarrassed that I didn't mention it in any single way. But now that I've seen it, oh my gosh, it is really good. All the characters are funny and interesting, and I loved seeing them. I think it's the best Shrek movie since Shrek 2, if you want like an addendum to the Shrek perspective. And I've changed my mind. I do want to see what they can do with a Shrek 5 now. So that was my favorite movie last year. Thanks for the question. Wally Wackford asks, you already thought about returning with the good and not so good segment of your retrospective videos. I honestly miss that classic segment a lot. I do too. I'm thinking of a less taxing review in April, just something a bit sillier and more carefree. And I think I don't really need to rank episodes with it because it's such a simple show. So I might bring the good and not so good back for that. I'm happy that even stuff like that people miss, because that's how you know that you've fostered an audience that likes what you do no matter what time. Stump asks, what's your favorite video you've made and why? I've got plenty of answers to that. Like, whenever you finish a video, like when you're at it as long as I've been, your first reaction is to be like, this latest video is obviously my best. I put so much work into it, so many jokes. It is going to be like what people should remember me for. And I feel that way with Quack Pack right now because it's not the sort of show you should take seriously. So I just filled it with a bunch of jokes. So I'm very proud of that one, but I'll just wait for it to simmer for a bit before I say, oh, that's my favorite. In terms of other videos, I'm very proud of the Fantastic Voyage video, even though the follow-up, the Clonathon, is going at a snail's pace production-wise because I just don't know what to do with clones, whereas with Fantastic Voyage, all the stories are the same, so you know what you're talking about with each and every one, and you can sort of like see, oh, this Mickey Mouse one is like the Quack Pack one, this Totally Spies one is like the Magic School Bus, I forget. But yeah, that was a very fun video to put together. I'm very proud that I made a little tier list, even though it isn't like full of every example of the trope that I could find in time. And my favorite episode review is of the Animaniacs segment Pigeon on the Roof, because the good feathers, after I reviewed it, they really started to grow on me. I've even started to think pigeons are a pretty cool animal. So, you know, that was just a really fun, funny video to make for me personally, because I'm just slowly getting more interested in them as characters and really mad that they wanted the revival. So I just wanted to give them some more attention in this big old website. And that is an insane episode, and I wanted to say why it was insane, and I'm proud of the results. I think that's probably not the most engaging video I've made, but it is one of my favorites in terms of humor. I don't try to be like a super duper comedian, but I also try not to take these videos too seriously. So I am very proud of when I can make them light and fun to watch. And I think a lot of these that I've listed are on the funny side, and I do try to, you know, make them watchable for other people, even if they don't agree with my points. So thank you so much for that question. Thank you all for these questions, honestly. Koila Ermakov asks, what's your favorite movie based on a cartoon? That is a very easy question to answer. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Like, even if you don't like South Park, even if it's a bit too much for you, I think you're going to find a lot of fun and humor in this movie and what it's saying about the show up to that point, what it's saying about you as a viewer, no matter if you like or hate the movie. And the songs are bangers, and the animation, it's not the best South Park got, because it was made during like season 2, season 3, but it's a really engaging movie, a very catchy movie just in terms of the songs, because all of them are hits. Matt and Trey, They aren't my favorite storytellers, but they are incredible songwriters in animation, and they should put more songs in South Park, honestly. Not licensed songs like they're doing now, just Trey's a genuinely talented songwriter, so make more songs, Trey, please. Guy5678 asks, do you have a show that you either don't like or downright hate, but has an intro you love? I guess that in terms of stuff on top of my head, in terms of shows I don't like, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends' intro, it promises something that the show doesn't deliver on, much like the premiere movie. You've got that iconic visual of Foster's forming from a little line, and that's pretty cool. The music is very bouncy and catchy, and the characters are all introduced very well. The intro is one of my favorite things about that show. Sparkling with Nights asks, Ben, have you ever thought of making a channel all focused on retro video game reviews and video game franchise retrospectives? This is basically the same question that Vox Productions asked, and the answer is still not really. I'm not really super qualified to do a video game channel or series review. I know that a lot of people want that out of me, but I don't really think it's going to happen. Maybe in a couple of years when I've got more experience with capturing game footage and practice talking about video games, that might come to pass. Magnet Man asks, would there be a way to send fan arts to you? You can just send me to them at Gmail, employeeamillion@gmail. I don't know if I'll feature them in the videos yet, but I'm flattered that people want to make fan art of me. That's just a very flattering thought, so thank you very much. Snakey asks, have you seen the reanimated or rehydrated cut of the SpongeBob movie? What did you think? I do really have a soft spot for the SpongeBob movie, so it warmed my heart seeing so many animators put together their own takes on this world. In general, Reanimated collabs have been very fun to see. I think my favorite Reanimated collab has actually been of the premiere, the debut of Felix the Cat, Feline Follies. It hasn't got the most attention online, but in terms of modernizing and making a new take on a 100-year-old short, I think that it did the most to elevate its source material and make it a lot more palatable to a modern audience. But stuff like the Shrek Reanimated collab or the SpongeBob Movie Reanimated collab, those are always fun to see, especially when you want to see more styles of animation out there and more voices heard. Asks, Billy and Mandy review, huh? Do you plan to review Evil Con Carne as well? Not at the moment. I'm a bit Maxwell Adams out, but I will talk about General Scar because he just sort of migrated into Billy and Mandy. Evil Con Carne only has 13.5 hours, so it would be a very easy show to cover and just talk about what worked about it, what didn't, why it just sort of migrated into Billy and Mandy. But it's not off the cards, but maybe not in the immediate future. Thanks for the question. Comic Book Guy asks, why are you so similar to Alex Hirsch? I don't know. I've seen a few episodes of Gravity Falls. I don't really know if I bear too much resemblance to Alex Hirsch in the face, in terms of my voice, in terms of what I like about animation, but interesting observation, but I like interesting. Carly Skolnick asks, if you've seen Ren and Stimpy, what's your favorite and least favorite episode and why? I reviewed Ren and Stimpy as my 4th series review way back in 2019, and I don't think my favorite and least favorite episodes have changed. My favorite is still Sven Hoek because you've just got this really messed up and silly plot line of Stimpy and Sven just messing about while Ren's out at work. And then you've got this amazingly animated and, dare I say, performed scene of just Ren threatening them, which is very creepy and engaging, and it's very hard to praise it these days because of behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, it's a very impressive bit of animation. My least favorite episode would be Ren's Brain from season 5 because it just isn't really hitting the same notes for me personally, and the ending is completely bonkers, but in the wrong way, and sort of the way you're saying, we give up. We don't want to tell a story. We just want to, do something weird, not hook it to anything. And I think that was Ren and Stimpy's downfall, just not really committing to characters and just doing weird things because weird is funny, apparently. Comedy Gold asked 2 questions. I don't know which one was asked first, but I'll just ask the more relevant one to this channel. You watched the SpongeBob Season 13 crossover special, The Title Zone? No, I haven't actually seen much of Season 13, actually. I tried watching a bit of Camp Coral, didn't like it. I don't really want to review it, even back on SpongeBuddy Mania. I haven't seen much of the Patrick Star Show, only a few clips, but it does kind of feel like they've siphoned their zaniness into that show, which I can kind of see why it exists now, but Season 13, I've had very little desire to watch. I've seen a few episodes, they're fine, but not the Title Zone. Yeah, it is very disappointing that a few years ago, SpongeBob did seem to be back in a big way, but now it's just this overblown hodgepodge of different styles, and it's not really my thing anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for the question, but that just bummed me out for a bit. I do want to get back into the show in some way. Samurai Bunny asked, favorite anime, if any? The only show that I've really watched, like in any capacity, is the one that I do for this channel, the Pokemon anime. Specifically the original series, I'd say that's my favorite anime. But thanks for the question, but if the rest of the anime world is like the Pokemon anime, it seems like a huge time sink, and I'm just happy to stick with what I know. I know there's probably a lot of anime out there that would appeal more to my sense of humor, but so far, I'm just a bit burnt out, and I'm not even done with the Pokemon stuff that I want to do. Goopy asks, do I ask multiple questions or only one? If one, just answer the Winx Club or Cat Dog one, and the other can be the answers in a comment. And if you wonder why my English suck, it's because I'm from Germany. That's fine. I'm not the best with Germany accent either. But that question was, are you interested in doing a review of Winx Club or Cat Dog? They're some of my favorite shows. Good for you. Like, I've seen a lot of Cat Dog in my life. I'm always very torn on it. It does seem like a very creative show, but also a very annoying one, but not covering it this year, so, you know, there's always chance for me to just think more about it and think about a way to approach it in a way that I can be honest about it, but not upset fans. But Winx Club, I really have never really thought about that much, and it's not because, girl show, but because it just doesn't really appeal to me in terms of like art style and things about it, like the looks of it, the characters, even the story of it. I don't think it's ever been well introduced to me, but it's been around for a pretty long time, so I don't know, maybe that could change. I'm a never say never kind of person. There are a few things that I will say, no, I won't review this too. So hopefully that's an optimistic way to end this Q&A. Thank you so much for all your questions, and thank you all for having restraint this year. I know that as this channel just gets more followers, a lot of them want to ask me more questions, but thank you for thinking about your like most daring questions and saying them and just expecting a positive answer. I hope that this satisfied all or most of what you wanted to say. So yeah, happy to do this next year, and goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is.